Quiero presentarles a un gran amigo y a un forjador de una historia maravillosa del rally del mundo, precursor de muchas tecnologías, muchas innovaciones y un gran amigo de nuestro campeonato. Quiero presentarles a Malcom Wilson de Asesora. Hello, Malcom, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you? You know, it was going to be difficult last year, and I expected it to be more difficult in 21, which for sure it is. So it's not a good position. I don't think that any of us are in at the moment, but hopefully we can find a way to keep going, and let's try and get the world back to normal.
What is your position today with the WRC and your cars and your position in this championship in 2021?
We've touched on it's going to be a difficult year. I think Monte Carlo did an incredible job to be able to run the rally. It was a great message to everybody in the sport. It's what the sport needed, was to start with Monte Carlo, and they did a great job. Our point of view is a little bit different. To be honest, all our effort is going into our 2022 WRC car, which is the new technical regulations with the hybrid car. We paid a heavy price for having Sebastián in 17 and 18 and obviously winning those championships. And it's a case of us regrouping now, commercially, trying to get everything in place. So my target is to come back in 22 with our new car. With top line drivers, that is the target. I know that my guys will do a fantastic new car, as we've done with all the previous cars that we've produced. So 21 is a little bit trying to develop young drivers with the likes of the drivers that we've got with Timu, with Gus, and obviously with Adrian. We had a terrible start with Timu in Monte Carlo. He was doing really good, but unfortunately he got caught out on a tricky place near the end of the stage. But we had a great performance from Adrian in the WRC2 category. It's basically a case of trying to develop the young drivers and getting them ready for next year, ready to start 22 in a really strong position.
Where you lived in the two championships won by Sebastián Etcheverry. It must be a little frustrating that after two fantastic years, what is your feeling today after that in perspective of what you have in those 2 years?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. You can imagine it is frustrating for me and obviously for a lot of people in the team. But I think, you mustn't lose sight of the fact that, we went from 2012 until 2017 without a win. So, it's not as though it's something that we're not used to. But as I said, we invested heavily to try to win those championships in 17 and 18. But of course, we weren't in a position to sustain that. But I think the great thing is that we've got great support from Ford to design and develop the new car for 22. And as I say, I'm absolutely confident that we will bring out, a winning car again. And I think already a lot of the other drivers are talking, and they keep making reference to us that every time we bring a new car out, we're always very good on out of the blocks. So that is certainly the target for 2022, but you can imagine, yes, it is frustrating for me and a lot of the people here, but at the end of the day, the priority for me is the business and being able to stay in business and obviously keep the people employed that we do.
Many years ago, most of the people here in Chile doesn't know that story, but so I'm going to go again to the story, looking for an R5 for those days, and I ask you in your office, how will we have the chance to have a WRC round in Chile? And you look at me and say, you look at me you have a little 1 minute thinking space, and you give me a post-it with a telephone number. Call this guy. If you have a chance, this is the only guy that's going to give you a round of a WRC. If you apply if you convince this guy that you're going to have a round there, this is the guy that you have to talk. Tell him that you are talking about on my behalf. And then I remember you take all the catalogs we have of the rally, and you gave it to him. And it was the first step Chile had, the Chile round of WRC, and it was successful, very successful. So
I remember it very well, and I have to say I'm just very happy that it all worked out for you. And sadly, I missed the rally, but I'm really looking forward to definitely to come into my first Chile World Championship event. So yeah, I'm just really pleased that it worked out for you, and I'm glad that I gave you the right information to enable you to get a WRC round. But you know, when you give me all that information, that literature, I was really not surprised, but I was impressed, and I felt that, you know, you give me the confidence that I was quite happy to suggest that, you know, who you needed to speak to and get the event off the ground. And I'm just really pleased for you that it's worked, and obviously you guys have put a tremendous amount of effort in, and I had really good feedback from my guys that came to the event the last time. So as I say, I'm looking forward to coming to a WRC event there, and more importantly, I'm looking forward to tasting some good wine, and I'm sure you're going to provide me with some when I arrive.
Malcom, let's go to the future. What do they look like? What is the idea? What are you putting your big effort on in this new cars?
Okay, I think the big difference that we're going to see with these cars for 22 is obviously all in the technical regulations. So it's the first time in the history of I think any car in WRC where the base car is not based on a production body shell. So we will actually be starting with a tubular steel frame, a bit like what you probably see as a Dakar type vehicle. So we start with a tubular steel frame, but then obviously it has to be the silhouette of a production car. So you have to use some production parts. So you have to use a production windscreen, a production bonnet, a production tailgate, basically a production door, but you can scale it to size. So at least all the dimensions of all the cars will be the same. So everybody will have some areas of the car scaled to suit and to obviously represent the model that the manufacturers wanting to promote as a brand. We also we will use the current WRC engine, but we will go for a simpler transmission. We will have a 5-speed gearbox rather than a 6-speed gearbox. We will have a manual shift rather than a hydraulic paddle shift. But we will also have the added the hybrid unit. So we will be able to drive some of the road sections in electric mode. We will also be able to use the hybrid system for some increase in performance in the stages. So it's a totally different concept to whatever we've run previously. And a lot of the components are based on R5 to try and reduce the cost, to bring some of the cost out of the vehicle. But I have to say, from what I'm seeing here of the build of the car, then there is no question these are also going to be the safest cars that have ever been built for WRC. The FIA have done an incredible job on all the crash testing. So there's no question they will be the safest cars that we've ever had in WRC as well.
how much power it adds in terms of in a special stage. You're gonna keep the norm, the today's power of, let's say, 400 horsepower, and how much is the increase of the power with electric power?
So in rough terms, for certain areas of the stage, it might only be for 10 or 15, whatever, 20 seconds, but we will probably have around about another 100 horsepower available. So there will be probably certain areas that's designated in the stage where you can use the hybrid system, or it depends on the rally and how the format is, or you might be able to use it all at the start for the first kilometre or kilometre and a half, or I think it will be interesting then for the fan to see the difference in certain areas of the stage where you can use it.
To just finish this nice conversation, we have been hearing a lot of rumors about drivers for 2022. That a chance that Andreas Mikkelsen will be part of the sport?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, we were speaking with Andreas about this year as well, and for 2022, as I mentioned, I want to try and get a stronger driver lineup as possible. You know, it would be a dream for me to be able to recreate what we had in 17. If you could imagine, if he had Sebastián Etcheverry, Tanak and Elfyn Evans, it would be almost unbeatable. But obviously, that's not going to happen. And it looks as though Sebastián is going to retire. But you can imagine, after the job that Sebastián did for us, I'd love to think that we could get Sebastián back. But I think I do think he will retire at the end of the year. So, you know, it is my target to try and get an Oit or an Elfyn or a Thierry, and obviously we need to see how Andreas does for the rest of this year. But I wouldn't discount it. But you know, I definitely want to try and get a stronger driver lineup as I possibly can.
Are you going to use the body of Fiesta or is it a different body?
That's something you'll have to wait and see. I'm not going to divulge that information. You will have to wait and see.
When those news are going to be out? Mid of the year, mid to the end of the year?
Yeah, I think we'll obviously be running a mule car. We hope to start testing probably end of February, early March, but we won't have an actual proper looking car until, should we say, probably July, middle July, August, I would think.
Just to end this conversation with you, I saw you last time at the wheel of a Ford Escort. You look very well. You look still fit, and you just look very well. How was the driving skills? Are you still there?
No, I think the driving skills have gone south. I'm too old now to. Don't get me wrong. It's still enjoyable, but no. My driving days are over, to be honest.
To thank you very, very much for this interview. You are we have a lot of fans. I am one of the fans of your job. I saw your driving track in the factory. I saw the now I see this driving the track that you have built, and everything is absolutely a dream for all the people that we love this. So first, to congratulate for all the good things you have done for the motorsport and especially for rally. Thank you very much for your participation in this interview, and hope everything is going to be all right for you.
Well, thank you very much. Much appreciated, and I appreciate it's reciprocal, because obviously we've had some great business from you, as you mentioned, with the R2, and we've had some great customers from your part of the world. So a big thank you to me from you, and to everybody in your organising team in Chile. and I really look forward to coming to the WRC event. And yeah, let's keep on working together.